call the meeting to order, and we'll start by rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Union City Community Schools Board meeting. Our meeting agenda is available for you to follow. The expectation for our board meeting is to follow this agenda closely. We operate under the Open Meetings Act and utilize Robert's Rules of Order to govern our discussion and decision-making process. There is an opportunity for public comment during our set agenda. We welcome the public to express their opinions during this time of our agenda. If there are questions about the agenda or the board meeting process, please seek out one of the board members for clarification. Do we have, oh, it's not time for that yet, sorry. I was a little bit ahead of myself. Addition or deletion of items to the agenda. I know that we have the addition of a presentation on the Grand Canyon trip that Mr. Maples wanted to give us some more information on, and so I will entertain a motion to add it. We're going to add it before the consent agenda, right after we add it, so that we can hear it before we vote in the consent agenda.
So moved.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. And so, Mr. Maples, you are up, sir.
Courtney, I'm going to unplug yours real quick.
Are we able to turn off the blower, Patrick? It's just so, it was, and it's just so hard to hear. I like the air movement, but I got old lady ears. Yes.
All right. I came tonight seeking the board's approval to take a group of students to the Grand Canyon in June of 2027. Now, I'll go through a little bit on their itinerary here. We're going to fly out of Detroit for Las Vegas. I talked with Patrick and Amber, and they said they would give us a bus to and from the airport, so people weren't, so they didn't have 20 cars there paying for parking for 6 days. While we're there, we are going to see a number of things here. The coral sand dunes, which you actually can see right there. Bryce and Zion. Now these are all going to be trips within a tour bus, so they'll be on a nice tour bus, air conditioning, everything like that. We will see Glen Canyon, and we'll actually cross over the Hoover Dam. I don't know if we're going to actually get to tour the Hoover Dam or not, but I certainly would like to do that. Then we're actually going to take a float trip on the Colorado River through one of the canyons there. So I figured that would be a highlight. It's not whitewater rafting, so don't worry about that. And then we will stop in the Grand Canyon and do a little bit of a hike down there. I don't know if we'll be able to get to go to the overlook where they have the glass walkway and everything, but certainly I'd like to do that. And then we will fly back in 6 days from Phoenix to Detroit. Now, a couple of things. Obviously, there's Hoover Dam. Meals will be covered, airfare, hotels, busing, tips, and entrance fees to everything will be included within the student cost. They do have things where you can lower the cost, where the kids pay for all their meals. I don't want to have that worry that students are not going to budget enough money, they're going to buy too many things, and I don't want to have the worry that kids are going to go hungry. This is the budget for everything, and it comes to a grand total of just short of $3,000. Now, I understand this is a big commitment for the families, but if we start fundraising now and I get kids signed up, I figure I'm going to tell the kids, any way that you could make money. One of the things that I'm doing now to offset some of the costs is I've been collecting pop cans around the building, and I've trained enough of the students now to just start dropping them off in my room. I know that's kind of a drop in the bucket towards the total cost of things, but if they break it down per month, it is $139 per month. And Aaron and I will be co-leading the trip with the students, so we're going to brainstorm different ways for fundraising so students can actually make a fair amount of money doing this. I know this is a big commitment for $3,000 for all the families involved. Do you guys have any questions?
Is this done through the same tour group that you did the Washington D.C. trip on?
Yes. Yeah, EF. I used them for the New York City trip. I used a different group for the Washington D.C. trip. EF seems to be a little bit more on the ball with their things.
The same group that leaves for Costa Rica and for the Spain trip.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
I'd like to thank you for taking time to listen to what I've had to say.
Quick question. What if you don't get enough students? Is there a minimum you have to have? Or?
I think at least 10. They'll still run it. They might up the cost if we have less than 10. But I think if we have this much time, I'm hoping we can get at least 20.
What was the cost for the previous one?
What's that?
What was the cost for DC? Or what was the most recent one? Was that DC? No.
It was, I think, 1,200.
Okay.
And that was only 4 days.
Aaron, what was the cost for your Spain trip?
The Spain trip is $5,000.
So
Okay.
how many, you have enough kids to go?
Yeah. Yes, there are about 17 people signed up for Spain for this summer. And this is a domestic tour. I've never done a domestic tour with EF, so I can't speak to this for sure. But typically, for the international trips, it's 6 paying travelers per chaperone or per staff member. And so if it's the same, I would expect that we should get at least 12 people signed up to be able to go.
Great.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we're going to move on to our consent agenda, and I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Discussion.
Hopefully we'll beat Homer. Every time we beat Homer's a good day.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next is correspondence.
Yes, we have a thank you note from our former superintendent, Chris Katz, to the board. I want to thank you all for the very thoughtful and generous retirement gift. It was a real blessing to have such a great school board to work with. I appreciate you all very much. Thanks again, Chris.
Very
Doesn't
nice.
say love.
It doesn't.
So, make sure that's on the
Everybody
record.
has different words that they use for love, and appreciate might be one of those.
Yeah.
So.
Want to make sure the public knew what it said.
All right, next up, comments from the audience. This is our public comments time, the section of the meeting in which the public may make comments or share their opinions about the items on the agenda. We ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes per person to allow others the opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to your concerns. It is not board practice to act on the concerns voiced during this meeting to allow for the board to do further research. Do we have any comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to our presentation. Courtney James from Stryker will be presenting on Vocera for us. So, Mr. James, I'll turn it to you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Courtney. I'm here, as she mentioned, from Stryker. Since I think Chris, I want to say maybe 3-4 months ago, Chris and I had an email correspondence about a new solution that we have, and it's led to more conversations and more meetings with Patrick and the administrative team, and it's led me to being here today. So Patrick wanted me to spend a little bit of time just talking some about the solution, and also doing just a quick demo for you about how these badges are being utilized to day-to-day communication, and also empower emergency response teams to be able to mobilize quicker. So I have just a couple slides that are here. You can see this is the same Stryker. That's one of the common questions that we get. Many are familiar with us, especially in this area, from our presence in healthcare. But when it comes to these Vocera badges, this was the result of an acquisition. So Stryker acquired a company called Vocera. We were based out of California. The acquisition was in 2022. And the problem that Vocera badges were solving for in healthcare was just trying to close gaps in communications. Those hospital environments are spread out across a lot of geography, and many times it can be challenging to be able to communicate between one location and the next, multiple floors, multiple towers, multiple buildings as well. So what these badges ultimately enable would be point-to-point communication between you and that individual, regardless of where they are on premises through your Wi-Fi. So the environment within schools obviously is very different than the environment in healthcare, but the solution that's being solved for is pretty similar. So what we're trying to do with these badges is ultimately streamline that communication. Instead of there being cell phones being used, or walkie-talkies being used, or an intercom being used potentially in some situations. You can use a lot of those same functionality just through this one lightweight wearable device. So I just kind of summarized a little bit about what these badges enable, but it is hands-free voice-activated calling, so it can work a little bit like a cell phone. There is a panic button that's on each of these badges too. There is some messaging capability with the Smart Badge. You have a two-way communication ability, so that's the instance in which it does work a little bit like a radio. And then you also have the ability to broadcast to multiple endpoints as well. So we felt as if this solution just fit really well into schools, and even post-acquisition, we were a little bit surprised to realize that Vocera was live in a couple schools throughout the country, and a lot of it happened organically. So a school leader would be in a hospital, they would see how healthcare staff are communicating, and they would say, wow, that's cool, can you do it in a school? And the answer is yes, we are able to, but Vocera at the time didn't have a team that was dedicated or had the bandwidth to support a team dedicated to K-12. So that's what we've been doing for the last about year and a half, 2 years. But not only schools, there's also hotels. Four Seasons is one of our biggest customers. And ultimately any environment we can end up adding a server and then ultimately allowing communication to take place through these badges. Specific to schools though, we feel as if everyone on premises should be connected. So whether in a classroom, a hallway, cafeteria, playgrounds, parking lots, athletic fields, offices, everyone has the ability to be able to communicate. And ultimately, the communication is strengthened. That can end up reaching the right person at the right time. You can trigger an emergency alert in seconds, regardless of where you are, without having to necessarily go through an intermediary. It's communication without slowing down, and ultimately can more quickly mobilize your teams to be able to respond and provide the care and safety that you ultimately need to. We get pigeonholed a little bit into being specific to safety and security, but a big part, I think, is just the everyday routine communication improvement, whether it's the hub within the office, being able to streamline so-and-so has to leave for a doctor's appointment, or so-and-so left for lunch, all the way to any more events that may be a little bit more of an emergency for you. So I'll do just a quick little demo. What I have over there behind Patrick is somewhat of a mobile server, and I have a few badges that are here as well. So 90% of the use cases we see ultimately with just being able to call by name. So I have one of my teammates, Dane Baxter, kind of plugged into my demo kit with my badge. I just press this button. Call Dane Baxter.
Courtney James.
Accept call.
So now I've got a point-to-point communication between myself and Patrick. So if he were on my safety response team, I could say, hey Patrick, we got a situation in the cafeteria, can you be on your way? Oh, I already hung up on him.
On my way.
But it would allow him to be able to answer yes, and then he and I are able to talk. The nice part about it too is just the privacy aspect. With walkie-talkies, many times your school leadership can be observing and they have to put their walkie-talkie potentially on silent, or maybe they have to speak in code because they don't want everyone to pick up on whatever the emergency is that's at hand. With these, you can just talk point to point, and you can even hold it up to your ear and it'll work a little bit like a phone in that instance, to where there's even more privacy. The other piece is you can call by roll. So if you have a new teacher or a substitute teacher in the building and maybe they aren't as familiar with all the personnel yet, they could just say call principal, call nurse, call security, call custodian, and they would still be able to get to that particular person. The last piece is you do have the ability to broadcast to multiple endpoints as well. And we ultimately will work with your team on setting up these different groups, which kind of work like channels almost with traditional radio. So you could have an emergency response group, a security group. Your principals could break it out in terms of first grade teachers, second grade teachers, third grade teachers. There's no finite amount of groups that you can end up forming, but if you are assigned to that particular group, that means those communications will come your way if prompted. So I could say, broadcast to security. So now those are part of that security group, which would be this person, I believe Patrick is, this one is not assigned to that group, but I'll be able to hear my voice. So again, it would be, hey, you have a kid that had an allergic reaction in this particular location, could you be on your way? There is a location aspect of it too. So if you did have one of these badges with a display, again, I keep kind of giving the example of where you are, but you'd be able to see who it is that's calling. You would also be able to see their location based on access points throughout the building.
You can see the location on that little screen.
Say it again?
You can see the location on the little screen you have there?
Yeah, yep, so it will just tell you. So for example, all of your APs, we want you to label as West Cafeteria or North Hallway. So that's the information that you would get based on the AP. Yep. Panic button is the last feature I think we could show. So right here, this little red button, you press here. And then once you get the panic, that opens up an automatic broadcast. You can see my screen now, at least on my badge, is completely black. But it is pulsating a little bit for me. I'm gonna stop that so it's not echoing. But the idea is, you know, that emergency team that's potentially mobilizing, they can hear what's going on in that panic situation without tipping off the person, individual, or situation that maybe caused the panic. So if you're trying to de-escalate a parent or maybe even a student, and you silently alert with this panic button, it's not as if this is going to show up in red saying panic, 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 and creating more challenge. But it does at least give you the security. You can feel it pulsate on your chest, knowing that some help is potentially on the way to deal with whatever the situation may be. Any questions you have for me about?
How far is the range?
Say it again?
What's the range?
It's just wherever your Wi-Fi coverage is. So one of the steps in our process is a technical discovery call, which we've had already, just talking with the IT team about coverage, and then following issuing of a PO, we have our systems engineer come on site, and they basically heat map your network, and we just walk from location to location throughout the building, all of your buildings, and say, hey, coverage is great here, coverage is not as great here. But what we see generally within schools over the last 5 years is that Wi-Fi coverage is really good, and based on the tech discovery call that we had and the Wi-Fi density here, we think we're in a pretty good spot.
The area that we're most concerned about would be like the elementary school playground,
Right.
but like moving that one playground closer, and in talking with Grant and Chris, it sounds like you can direct Wi-Fi in certain directions. In my head, Wi-Fi just kind of everywhere and floats about, but you can apparently direct it. So we'd be able to like direct it right towards the playground where like a paraprofessional would be with like a recess group.
What about like the football field and baseball field and that
It's
area?
it's weaker over there. Is the understanding I have of our Wi-Fi. I don't know what exactly our capabilities are.
Probably have to add another
Probably to add another access
port.
point would be my guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of schools that are going through this process now and considering the ideas of adding access points. The reality is like this technology isn't common in schools, so not many are perfectly fitted and suited, especially outside of the building for us. But there's a lot of that are starting to consider, okay, this is a roadmap of where we want to be. We think this is probably going to be the future of what communication application may look like. Let's start looking at it more seriously, and if that means adding access points, that's something that ultimately just improves overall your ability to utilize these, and also improves everyone's Wi-Fi coverage as well if they're using personal devices.
Is it possible to record, to listen in on someone without them knowing about it? I guess, like if you're wearing it, can I say I want to listen to Courtney, and will that work or not?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't want that. I just want to make sure that
Darren wants to hear everything.
If you think about how protected information is in like the healthcare setting where these are being utilized, I mean, there's no ability to do that.
I'm familiar with Vocera because I used it for many years working at a hospital.
Okay.
And so just have a couple of questions. Where and who would be hosting the servers? Do you know that?
So I think it was a virtual server is what we looked at.
Yep.
So we would help the team here stand that up.
Okay. And then we would also be managing the servers, or does Vocera manage the servers?
Yeah, so there's annual software maintenance and support where we ultimately just serve as being able to support any and everything. So if you're adding APs, or if you have bugs or fixes, or maybe we need to push out a software update, we would be able to do so, but we would work in conjunction with Grant.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you know, now this was years ago when Vocera was a little bit newer and you didn't have control of it under the Stryker umbrella.
Okay.
What is the current life of badges these days? Because they didn't last very long before you needed to get a whole new badge or a new battery. So what is the life of those badges at this time?
So this is the brand new one that we just launched, but it also kind of is built on, I'd say, like our most successful badge that Vocera has launched. So it's kind of like a second generation of that one. In hospitals, we've seen some like this last anywhere between 7 to 10 years. We've seen some last less than that too, because a lot of it depends on care of
Right.
that individual badge as well. I mean, if it's dropped, or if it's banged, or gets rolled over by a stretcher, I mean,
Yeah.
hospitals are they can be chaotic environments, as you know from your
Oh, yeah.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
I will say in schools though, with where it's different, where I think you would see more longevity is the fact that hospitals are open 24/7. They're open the entirety of the school year, the entirety of the year. Where in schools, it really would just be that 7 to 4 window, and then probably a break for all the badges for 2 to 3 months. But I'd say a ballpark estimation would be 7 to 10 years roughly.
And if we needed to get more badges, is that a cost per badge, or is it like a per 10 or 20? Well, how does that work?
Yeah, I believe it's a cost per badge, but I think also too, I've been with Stryker for 8 years. I've been on this Vocera team now for 4 months, so I may not have all the answers. I can follow up with Patrick. But I know we have like a refresh program option that's out there too for some additional replacement, but to my knowledge, it would just be the per badge replacement.
Do you know what that cost is?
So we have 3 different badges. It would depend on which badge it is, and I can send pricing to Patrick for the team to review.
That'd be helpful, I think.
For the smaller one and this one, I think that was included in the document that I uploaded the board packet.
Yeah,
I think there was
the cost per user $795.05.
but that also counts that's more than just the device, that's also like the user profile,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit
Exactly.
more.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that per user amount, that includes
We think
everything.
that would be
includes
1 year,
us
and then
building the
Grant will learn
platform,
it and be able to do it.
includes the first year maintenance,
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah,
and
we get the same
support.
stuff.
But I can boil it down even more to exactly
Mm-hmm.
per badge in terms of replacement. Do you remember which badge style you were using in that?
Similar to what you're wearing.
Similar to this one?
It was similar to that one.
Yeah.
It did not have the text messaging on it as an option. It was simply voice. What would be the timeline if we were to move forward with this? Is this something that would wait until Is it something we'd move forward with right now, or like months away?
I had a conversation with him, like if the board voted to approve it, yes, like how quickly could we get staff trained and get devices to them? My hope was our November PD day. He says probably not feasible, so we were looking at our January PD day, be able to get to staff that, which is the 19th in January. The 19th this year in January, have every staff have it then, be able to be trained that day as well.
Okay.
And like we said, we talked about having lead time. We didn't know exactly what it would be, but we felt comfortable enough with that being, we want to get into it as soon as possible in terms of if we have the ability to.
January would be doable, and also a good time to get folks trained.
So your emergency button, is that easy to undo if you accidentally hit it?
So you have the context of being able to share. I mean, so if I did accidentally trigger this, I would then just be able to communicate thereafter that it was,
An
accidental.
error or something.
It doesn't talk to the authorities though, it's just internal, right?
It can. Most schools don't end up going that route. They instead, anytime a panic is triggered, they want it to filter first to school leadership, and then school leadership decides whether or not it can escalate. So we haven't had that conversation yet of what that network would look like, but most schools go that route because the last thing they want is an accidental, engagement, and then the cavalry's here.
It's also the right answer, thank you.
And the button is recessed in there too, so it'd be difficult to accidentally do it.
I see that chargers are not included in the budgetary pricing that we got.
Yeah, so we're going to rework some of that pricing. Patrick and I talked about this last week too. Initially, I was thinking, hey, you could source your chargers potentially elsewhere and save a couple bucks. But what we've been seeing for some schools that have gone that route is that they're having challenges with charging them. So we thought it would be best to just move forward with the chargers directly from us, pending approval. I don't see it swinging pricing crazy. I want to say it's like $40 roughly
Per charger?
Per charger, yep.
I know Chris had hoped to get it like through some other program, with some like third party one. Boney mentioned having issues. I know when we got a car in January and we had a USB-C port that we thought would charge our phone and play the music, and it didn't. So we had to order a different one off of Amazon that allowed us to do both. So they kind of opened my eyes. They're different actually. So like getting it from the source, I thought would be beneficial. In terms of if we're going to spend this much money on a product, we might as well ensure that it works properly as well.
Do we currently have a large gap in communication?
Michael, you want to talk about that?
Speak on that. So
Of course.
when we started talking about this, it was like it's just so many things were going on. We currently use walkie-talkies, phone, PAs in our building. If Rhonda needs to get a hold of a teacher or a student and their parents are picking up, she'll call the classroom while they're in library. So then we have to call the library. Maybe they're on the playground. This kind of device would eliminate all of that. Every teacher and para that would be in those spots would have that communication device, and we'd easily be able to do that. Subs in the same situation, we kind of like worked through a process of how that would look, and we'd have sub profiles, so we can easily contact a substitute teacher also. So it helps really to, and then when we're talking, another good example, we had a student get hurt the other day on the playground, so we do an on-call for Mr. Mert, explain to 350 students who Mr. Mert is, and instead now we just page the Mert team. So it would be quicker, less interruptive towards the environment of schools.
The other questions that I had are probably more questions that I could
So is
ask
it
you about.
tech-based stuff or?
No, like procedure. Like where will the badges be kept? At people's homes or here in the school?
Here in the school.
Okay. And will they be assigned to a person or a room?
We thought about probably the room would be best. That way, if you do have a substitute teacher, they could go in and they could log into substitute profile, and they could use this substitute one all day underneath that profile, because it's not tied to an individual. So if you could just leave it in the room, that could be the one that they use in that classroom.
And then who covers the price of the loss of the badge? Like if it was lost or damaged, is that a school covered cost or a staff covered cost?
That's a good question. What do we do with like other, with our MacBooks? If something happened to those, I would imagine it'd be similar, like the staff issued laptop.
Right now, we have, we upped our coverage for our iPads with Apple Care.
Yep, I'm sorry.
We upped our coverage for iPads with Apple Care
Mhm.
because we were having issues with, those were actual laptops. But anyway, we upped our care that way. I don't know if they provide additional insurance for devices or anything like that.
Well, there's a
Yeah.
warranty period. That warranty period is just 1 year.
I know of some that went through a washing machine, so, went home by accident
Right, yeah.
and went through a washer. So, I mean, I'm sure that's not gonna be covered under insurance. So, in that case,
Yeah, in that case, it would be on the school.
yeah,
Yeah.
or staff, whichever you decide to go through.
Mhm.
On the lost piece, there is, on a dashboard based on permissions, you can help locate where some of them may be. So that can help potentially with just, some that are misplaced. Yeah, if someone takes it home and puts it in a washer or something else, we wouldn't be able to cover that.
I just asked because I did not have that personal experience, but I know people who did.
Yeah.
I know that it's also something that can go home
Yep.
because you're so
Right.
used to wearing it, you forget to take it off and you leave the building.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked those kind of questions. And at the hospital, we were required to replace them ourselves.
If your car keys on the charger in the
Yeah, right.
I mean, everybody can make some sort of a,
System, right.
reminder to do it. I just know that it does happen.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to cross all the T's and dot the I's.
Yeah, that's fair, and the people management and process change part of it is something I'm sure that's going to need to be just kind of worked through, and
Yeah.
even in terms of reminders, I mean, you can send reminders out to dispatch as well, so as you're going through your training and process protocol, you can have a reminder toward the end of the day of make sure you take your badge off, plug it in, that can go out to everyone that has a badge. But still, there'll still be someone that takes it home.
Yeah, there will be. There will be.
Yeah.
What are, before we
What is-
start the
Can you
process,
set up
did
an
you guys
alarm for when
consider
it's
other
Wi-Fi
companies
area?
that could utilize this? Or other?
In the hospital, it did not work once you left the Wi-Fi area of the hospital.
Well, what I was wondering is can you set an alarm when you leave the Wi-Fi
Oh,
area,
I
the alarm
see.
goes off?
Oh,
So, no, that's really
depends on
good.
where your GeoNet is.
Yeah, I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think we have that capability, but that's.
You know what the battery life is for a day? Like, take it home and you forget to charge it. Will
Yeah,
last a couple days.
we would
We took
encourage
care
to
of that
just
at the
charge
hospital
when
by
you
having
leave, but
extra
again,
batteries
we're-
in
We're gonna have a
we're
few,
built to
yeah.
make it
Okay.
a 24-hour shift, so
Okay.
I think it's like 40 hours without a charge, or like 7 hours of straight talking. And two, even if the battery, it'll prompt you if the battery is running low, it'll say, hey, my battery's, it doesn't say my battery, it'll say battery's running low, and you can just take the battery out, swap in one that is charged, and then log in with your profile information and still go back to using the badge.
Andrew was asking me if there's any other products that do a similar thing. When we started looking at this, we saw the construction project, there was a line item for blue light safety. So we looked into what that was. That was essentially the panic button that you would wear that didn't do anything besides just alert the police. That's a single button on it. And in going through this, we were talking about how would we, if we were had this approved, how would we pay for this? Where would the funds come from? How would we be able to do that? They had to provide us a sole source provider. They're the only one that has like the proprietary technology that are doing these type of products that allow all the communication and the panic button. So there's no one else that we're able to get like a similar product. If you're getting it, you're either getting the communication piece or the safety piece. You're not really getting them together.
That's all my questions. Anyone else? Thank you very
All right,
much.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. Next up, we go to our action items. First one is financials. Board action is required to approve the financials for the month ending August 31st, 2025. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Sport.
Discussion?
Not at this time. Good.
I want a gold star on
What?
today's calendar date.
Just for Patrick's Christmas.
He cornered Sarah for
Is there anything
45
you're
minutes
worried
before the
about
meeting.
that is in the report? No?
Just that there's no state budget, but government might shut down, that's okay.
It's fine, it's all fine.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next is authorizing resolution. Board action is required to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and delegating the sale of bonds. Bonds shall be designated, 2025 school building and site bonds, Series 1, and the principal sum is not to exceed $2,500,000. I would entertain a motion for the same. Yeah.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
So obviously none of us are, and this is new to all of us, and there's a whole bunch of papers in there.
Yeah. A little overwhelming,
Can you
wasn't
just
it?
give a quick summary of what we're doing with this, because I don't feel qualified to say yes or no to this.
Yeah, so when we mapped out our bond, it's going to come in several different series based on when we need the money. By getting the grant earlier in the spring, it allowed us to have a very small lift at the beginning through the bond that we need. So that's why it's $2.5 million. When later there's going to be much larger numbers we have to withdraw for the larger scope projects that will come later in it. But they've essentially paced it out for us that they're going to release funds at certain times to ensure we have money to pay all the POs and all the things that come in for us. So that's essentially what this first release is saying, that we need the $2.5 million as part of the first piece of this project.
And where does that go?
So we are going to work with Baker Tilly on that. They're going to manage all the money for us during it. So any money that we have that has not been spent, they're going to manage those money accounts for us and invest it so we can try and get some money earned on that while we have it sitting in bank accounts before it goes back out.
And then Kristen and whomever would work with them directly, or
Yeah, so they
Sarah have 1,000 more things to do.
That's one of the reasons we went with Baker Tilly is they made it very simple for us. We can just send it to them and they will pay everything out for us. And won't be having not everything about to go through us, and Sarah won't have to write a check for everything. They'll be able to handle a lot on their end to lighten the load as much as we could on Sarah.
That's what happens in other places. This is standard practice.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Kelly, can you call the roll, please?
Labar,
Yes.
Mears,
Yes.
Yaki,
Yes.
Arlt,
Yes.
Gauchi,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes. Next up is credit card authorization. Board action is required to remove Chris Katz as a user for the school credit card. In addition, the board gives Patrick McCurr, superintendent, authority to use the school credit card and be issued a credit card in his name. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So move.
Support.
Discussion.
This is the first time this has ever happened that I remember. Why is this?
We didn't know either.
Okay, should have happened before. It never did. It just kind of happened behind the scenes.
I don't know.
All right.
This is what the bank requested us.
They needed actual minutes of the
Oh,
board
okay.
approving it.
So I'm not sure why the difference, but that's what they told me.
And,
Who gets all the miles?
what,
That's how you're gonna fly to the Grand
what
Canyon.
Does the superintendent typically buy? What does the superintendent typically buy with a credit card?
I bought nothing.
I don't even know what they would do.
Golf club,
Okay.
dinner for the amazing administrator. No, not very much.
That's all good.
But it's just, sometimes they might need it.
There's a $25,000 credit limit. Huh?
Oh no, are we gonna start talking transit vans again because Chris is gone? Okay, we're moving on. So any other discussion regarding the credit card
I'm the one
authorization?
that does it. Paul did it this time.
Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Board action is required to approve the contract with Chrisman, which I have to really work at not saying Christmas. Chrisman, as the construction manager for the construction project as presented. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
Okay, once again, this is a 33-page document. There's a lot of like TBDs, and we don't know, and
Hard to throw down to Chris.
doesn't say like how much. So I mean, I know we agreed up front that we would go with them if the bond passed. So this is kind of a, you know,
Correct.
it's a moot point in my opinion. But it just approving a contract like that bothers me a little bit. So I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
I mean, that's what it was. We approved them to the point through the bond, and then this is us agreeing to using them for the entire project now that money's actually being paid out to them. Prior to that, there was no agreement to pay them any money in the contract, but now that the project is moving forward with the construction and the different payment pieces, this is just solidifying that agreement with us.
Okay, but when does it get filled in with like the rates and things like that? And like, do we want to put, for example, there's a thing about dates, you know, do we want to just say whenever we want to get it done? But I've learned from having people build things for me that if I say that, to get it done when they want to and not when I want to, and I'm just concerned that if there's no incentive for them to finish by a certain date, that they won't.
Which page are you looking at? Pulling it up.
Well,
That's page 4. Owner states the following. Wait, no, let's see. That would be 4. I keep scrolling. Milestone dates, page 3. Construction commencement, substantial completion date. They're all to be determined.
I would imagine it's because we don't have them to this point. We just got our sequencing from when the project's going to what project's going to occur first. So I just don't think they have the information enough. I can tell you in our conversations that we had with them last Monday, that I was going to share later with the construction update, that the start of 27-28 is the aim for this building to be completed. So like they just don't have, I would imagine, more specific timelines to tie into some of these things. And if they were to put any number, it would just be grasping at straws until they were able to do that work, and this came through before that. So I think rather than putting a date out there that they didn't have any confidence in, those are left as TBD. Because we got this 2 weeks ago, I believe.
yeah, okay.
Should it be updated to put some of the dates that they have for rough timeline, like to at least give a boundary?
I can ask our lawyers to see if they advise that that's typical practice for them. I'm not sure if that's something that they do with these type of projects, but I can ask the question.
Just so that there's not a problem of, we'll get to it eventually. I mean, obviously they want paid, so they're going to
Right.
do it.
Yeah, they have several $1 million that will incentivize them, I think.
Yeah, I don't want it. Is it going to change the world if we say yes or no in terms of, trying to figure out some of these things? It just bothers me. I don't know how to proceed if I don't know what we're actually going to pay them. It's not how I operate when I sign a contract is all. But if this is what everyone else does and this is how we have to do it and that's what's expected, and we've already, because I believe we already agreed that how much they're going to make based on it's a percentage of. So that's already done. So I guess what we're paying them is solidified at least. But
Right.
I don't know. It doesn't give me warm fuzzies if nothing is, if there's a contract with nothing in it, but words. I don't know. And I don't expect you to have the answer either because this is your first time doing it, and it was just a concern of mine.
Yeah, I mean, I said as advised by Troon, like our lawyers did approve this. They said it was a fine. They did. They said it was a fine contract, so I took that to mean that all of the schools who go through similar projects have similar things that they are agreeing to with these projects. So I kind of put my faith in them that had there been any red flags, they would have alerted us of that.
Okay,
It's
good
a
to
good thing I'm not a
know.
lawyer. 'Cause I'd be like, really? To be determined? Okay, sign off. All right.
Yeah, for both this one and the next one with both of those companies, they said they were actually just working with Troon directly.
Okay.
And then Troon sent it to us once it was finalized between them.
Okay.
But if there's a problem, Truan will solve it.
I would hope so. I mean, they made it right with the overdrawing of the sinking fund. That was their mistake, and they owned up to that. So I would imagine they would do the same if this would be the
Well,
case.
they just said they're sorry. They didn't.
Well, I know, but like here, they'd have more. They'd have more of an opportunity though than what they did with that.
Sorry's good, but when it
Yeah.
costs money, it's not as good. Okay. I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
I guess I don't have a reason to vote no. I just don't like voting yes on something that isn't really a contract, in my opinion. Reminds me of a quote from a movie from the 90s that I won't bring up, but it involves Chris Farley and a guarantee on brake pads. You can look it up, but it's similar
Yeah.
to this. So
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next up, contract with C2AE. Board action is required to approve the contract with C2AE for architectural services for the construction project as presented. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
support.
Discussion.
Ditto what I said last time.
Any other discussion?
Could we get, I know we are voting to sign these contracts, but when we have more of a scope of where we're going to be and the timelines are a little bit more concrete, could we have
I can certainly ask. Yep.
potentially the contract amended so we have those dates
I can ask that.
Didn't we have something from Crispin and C2AE that kind of showed the timeline?
Their general idea of what they thought it would be, but now that we're getting further into it, we're starting to get some more concrete dates on that.
We got burned pretty bad with the
Yeah.
other project.
Yep.
It's like, this is ridiculous. And there was no motivation for them to get it done other than us asking
Mhm.
nicely. So I just,
Yeah, I'm happy to ask.
The TBDs, I agree. We have some kind of rough, I think the one document says the rough plan, and perhaps maybe just constraints of, okay, we're gonna start in this rough ballpark and this rough ballpark.
but the beauty of I don't want to talk about this for a whole night because everyone wants to go home and have dinner if they haven't eaten yet, but the beauty of being a school is we have somewhat hard dates. Like we
Start
want
of
it done
school,
by the
right.
beginning of the school year in 2028.
Yep.
You know, that isn't hard to pick that one. Is it 2028 or 2029? Is it this semester or that semester? It doesn't have to be on Tuesday. It has to be this is the day.
Right.
You know.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next up, Vocera system purchase. Board action is required to approve the purchase of the Vocera software and hardware program for an amount not to exceed $120,000. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
Who decides who gets them? Like, are we giving them to custodial people? Are we giving them to everyone?
All staff in the building will get one. They'll get a very, so not everyone will get that gray one that he had. There's a smaller one as well that some of the staff will get. But every staff in our buildings will get one. Basically, the only staff that will not be getting will be bus drivers, as they're traveling. It'd be difficult, right?
So my understanding is this was already included in the bond proposal as a blue light.
A similar project, yep.
Yes, it's cheaper than
With a
that up
larger
front.
budget.
What's that?
With a larger budget.
This would
Right,
be
so
less
it's
than
less
that.
expensive up front. Now, we'll talk about the other thing in a second, but it's less expensive up front, but it also serves more functionality and it does more things than just the blue light.
Correct.
Or a walkie-talkie.
Have the teachers tried them or anyone else
We
looked at them?
we just had a little more thorough demonstration of it probably a month ago or so, where the administrative team was there.
Were there any concerns that I wouldn't know about because I'm not a teacher and I don't walk around with one on me that we should be concerned about? Like, did anyone give you any red flags if this is a bad idea because,
It's kind of been the opposite for mine with the few people that I've talked to that who utilize them the most. They've been very excited for this kind of technology that's out there. So
that feedback's important to me. People are going to use them. I want to make sure that they don't need them.
So this is a one-time purchase. This isn't like every year we're paying $100,000.
Nope, it's one-time purchase that gets us the license and the devices. They include on there the $9,000 for the support. And talking with Chris and Grant, they're very confident that this would be something we could do in-house. It integrates right into our phone line system, so any issues we ever have with our phone lines, it'd be simple. It'd be not necessarily simple, but solving it in the same manner that we solve that. So the reason we would do it the first year is just to ensure that it is what it is for us. There'd be no surprises, or if there was hiccups along the way, they could learn those the first year, and they would not be needed. Even when he was talking about it, he said they'd be there just to support. It's because our team would be doing the lift with most of the troubleshooting, most of the solving of the issues, and if there were issues, we would go to them, but they wouldn't be like the main driver of the support and tech issues that we're having.
Do your internet go down often or Wi-Fi?
Beginning of the year was a little bit frustrating in some spots, but typically we're pretty strong. Right. Typically it's pretty strong though.
I had a conversation with Patrick today, and one of the downsides is maybe it's an upside is that it's not on the wall, so not everyone can hit it. But at the same time, it's less of a distraction or less of a temptation for kids to go punch it either. So it's probably better in the long run to have it on the teachers or the staff than it is on the wall anyway. And we talked a little bit about like during games and things, but I'm not really that concerned about that. We're going to have it blocked off anyway, so just something to think about. But it sounds like we've asked most of the questions that are relevant and gotten answers that are acceptable. So.
So they're mapping that they'll be able to see where our weak points are and where we need to add extra devices in order to
Correct.
extend the Wi-Fi.
And we don't anticipate needing that at all within our buildings. I mean, we have several hundred kids on devices every single day in here. So, but
Right.
it'd be the extra, it'd be the football field, those
Right.
areas that might need.
That's
some
the
additional.
areas I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
and if we think of like if you, Michael's talking about like if you have someone on an extra recess and they're in the back corner of the field, if you're telling everyone to come in because it's a secure mode or a lockdown, like that'd be an area we can try to figure out exactly how far does it reach. So they'll do that mapping for us.
Great.
Did you see an email? There's a potential this to be required anyway, or something like this.
So 8 states have already accepted or adopted what they call Alyssa's Law, which is you're required to wear a panic button of some fashion. Doesn't have to be anything else but just a panic button. It's been introduced in 12 other states. It was introduced in Michigan in 2023, and it didn't make it out of the House of Representatives. But there's still a push from the organization leading that to get this in every state across the country. And I would imagine with the school safety issues that we see around the country on a monthly basis, that's going to be something that is continued to push for across the state of Michigan.
We have funds available for the directional antennas that need to be purchased for Wi-Fi.
So we were planning on doing some of our E-rate funds that we're trying to still secure those, but we did have, that was like in the next part of our E-rate plans anyways, was those purchases, so it coincided with very nicely with that. And then in terms of funding it, it can come straight from the grant or the bond as it was already that line item in there. But if the state ever does decide to approve a budget, the possibility of safety grants being in there, and then that money could also be routed towards these as well. Don't hold your breath for when that might be, but it could be a couple weeks still.
Are they pretty definite on the timeline of when they would be able to get devices and, everything else set up as far as any extra Wi-Fi paraphernalia on that?
That January, like end of January, seemed like a pretty fair timeline is what the conversation I had with him last week.
Okay, great.
Because I held out hope that maybe November, because we had the PD day that would be a good time, but then he said that'd probably be a little tight, so maybe
Yeah.
feel good about January.
Okay.
I worked at Stryker. They like to undercommit or perform, so they're not going to give you a date they can't hit.
I've seen some the other direction. So that's
Stryker?
from, so.
Most people don't work there anymore.
Okay.
Who else doesn't work there anymore?
I didn't get fired. I left voluntarily. I can show you the paperwork.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Are you no? Okay. I just want to double check and make sure that I was hearing you correctly. Okay. Next up is policy 5209 revision. Vote to approve changes to policy 5209 as presented. The new policy better aligns with previously accepted cell phone policy prior to adoption of Troon policies. I will entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
Did you check on that one thing we talked about?
Yeah, they matched up on the documents that I had.
Okay.
So is this any different than the last cell phone policy?
So Amber and I were looking at the handbook before we submitted that, and when Troon sent us our policies, they gave us a bunch of different policies, several different options that you could select depending on which way like your prior ones were to try and better align it. And in looking at this one, it looked as perhaps the wrong option was selected because I know our old policies were much more restrictive on what the cell phone policy was, but in looking at the one we adopted in, was it May? When we adopted all of them, it was pretty much open, no restrictions on it. So we just went back, we chose the other option. So that's what was presented here, was just the other option. It was better aligned to what we had previously.
Can you look at page 15 of the student handbook? It's actually page 14, but page 15 of the document. It says, students may not use cell phones or electronic devices during class time. Cell phones or electronic devices must be stored away during school hours. And then the revision, you say it has to be in a locker.
Oh, students are issued lockers.
So the language should probably be stowed away on both places then.
Okay. So,
Yep.
I think that's what I was saying. So, we're having discussions, so I think we should reject this, and then, I guess, or can you amend the, I don't know, actually, no, can you amend the,
Can we amend it to say match as proposed in the handbook? Because that's the stored away was in the handbook, correct?
but I mean, do we have to reject it first, or? Can we
Right.
Have to my question that I should know the answer to, but I don't. I think you have to reject it.
I think we
Yeah.
have to reject it, and then we have to have a new,
A new motion.
a new motion.
That's my understanding of how it works.
So if it's stored away, like is their pocket considered stored away?
I would say so.
I mean, can we revise that to be has to be like not on there?
Well, if they don't have a locker.
If they don't have a
where do you put
locker, some students may not have another place for it.
Yeah.
Right, because I mean, that's, yeah.
And it's so easy just to be like, wow, teachers not looking. You know, that's all
Can't
I'm
solve every
concerned
problem in the world with the
I'll
policy.
try.
though. I mean,
It's not
We-
there, it's not a temptation. That's what I'm saying.
Vote it down.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we'll do.
okay, let's vote.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, the same. So no.
Nay.
Nay. All right.
So I'd
So,
like to make a motion
Okay.
to approve the policy 219 with the change that students, instead of saying must be stored in the student's locker during school hours, you can say the same thing the student handbook says, which is
stowed away.
stored away
Mm-hmm.
during school hours. Other than that, I would approve it as it was written.
Do we have a support?
Support.
Discussion?
Now you want to bring up your idea, Paul, or are you?
No, I've already said it.
Okay. Do you have a different idea that you want to propose? I mean,
I just don't like them in school in general. So if it's in your pocket, it's just a temptation to pull it out and mess with it. If it's in your bag, you can still pull it out. If it's not on you, then it's not a temptation. It's not a problem.
don't disagree. I mean, you had
allowed in the building?
Yeah, I would propose that totally.
I would say students need them for after school. If you need to call home to get a ride or whatever it may
Yeah,
be.
I mean,
So
if it's in their car or their locker, I'm okay with that. But
not all students have
not-
those during the school
not
day
in
either.
person, no. I mean, you can go in the office. I don't know if you guys have a box you throw them in.
I don't know if we necessarily want to be handling all the student devices all day long either.
Yeah. I get your concern. I don't have an easy answer for it either as a problem because there are needs besides what he's talking about. So, I mean,
The handbook should be enforced.
Yeah.
Well, and if it's something that becomes a big problem, we can revisit it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that has to stay forever. We can always revisit it whenever we find a need.
Paul, in general, I like the 80s the most. Go back to the real world. You know.
I wish I could go to the 80s too.
I didn't have this
I
problem.
mean, we have real books that we have.
Okay, now we're getting into a rabbit hole.
I agree with that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next up, student handbooks. Board action is required to approve the student handbook for 2025-26. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
In the future, I think I mentioned this, but it's best if we have it like a is was or change. I know that Troon redid a lot of these.
Yeah, this was a little more.
It's
Yeah.
kind of a
Everything is new.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So this year,
But going forward, yeah.
okay, good.
I was gonna ask if it changed very much from year to year.
the wrong year to ask.
Yeah. But Troon's name's on it, so if they get this stuff wrong, they'll take care of it, right?
They'll say they're sorry.
What's that?
They'll say they're sorry.
Can we open the campus for lunch?
All right, any other discussion? You took a breath?
Me?
Yeah,
No,
you did. Like you
I
were
was
going to say
just-
something. Okay.
I'm gaining weight, so I breathe heavier now than I used to.
Okay.
Me too.
Sorry that I noticed that. But
All right.
regular
Keep
breath.
going. Let's keep going.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next up, high school curriculum guide. Board action is required to approve the high school curriculum guide for 2025-26. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
That was not a breath. I'm concerned about. I like we have world language is Spanish. We only have Spanish. That's all we have. I guess that's so basically every kid has to take Spanish to graduate, or
No,
other
we offer other foreign
No.
languages through
because my daughter
We have
takes.
some school board members' children.
Yeah, I know. My daughter takes French.
That's-
this was
Or
this
American
was
Sign
somewhat of a
Language,
test
or-
because
Two school board members'
she
kids are
claims she
taking
takes
sign language.
French, but I don't know if she does or not.
You
so.
know, I will tell you, my son took 3 years of French through Michigan Virtual and went to Michigan State and was able to opt out of the beginning French classes. And so, I mean, I think the courses through Michigan Virtual are they're to me, very good courses. And my son got a minor in French at Michigan State. So, I mean, I think that, you know, those courses are very legit and work out. I don't so, I mean, it is limited. Sorry. Am I supposed to speak?
That's okay.
I guess I haven't stopped me before. But no, we currently have students taking German, French. We've had somebody take a Japanese class for a semester. But they realized, oh yeah, maybe that wasn't the right fit for them. But so French, German, Spanish, American Sign Language, and typically, you know, obviously we have kids take Spanish here if they can, but some of our Math Science Center students, it just doesn't fit in their schedule, so they will take that course online if they have to. But yeah, Michigan Virtual runs a very nice program, I believe.
I know my daughter loves it. She wishes there was a third course.
Yeah, French, there are 3 years of French. Most are 2 years. I don't know if Spanish has 3, but yeah. The American Sign Language, my daughter took that. 2 years of American Sign Language. It was really good.
Elizabeth's looking at colleges
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing program. And I'm glad that we have it to offer to students if Spanish doesn't fit or if they are looking at learning another language.
I know at one time there was discussion of whether band counted as a language.
Well, so the state of Michigan says you have to have 2 years of foreign language to graduate. You can waive that second year requirement with an applied performing or visual art. So you can go to the Career Center and that will take place of your second year if you're in band. If you take an art class, it can waive that second year, but depending on the college you want to go to. So if you're looking at Michigan State or U of M, they require 2 years of the same foreign language. So you have to be careful of, you know, waiving that second year. Oftentimes, like Central, Western, they don't require 2 years of foreign language. They strongly encourage it. So you kind of have to look at what your post-secondary plans may be, and then whether you waive that second year. But you do have to have 1 year, at least 1 year, and then you can waive that second.
Gotcha.
Michigan Merit High School graduation, that's just what the state of Michigan
Correct.
requires?
Correct.
It's not some sort of alternative.
No.
So basically, we're requiring 4 more credits than Michigan, but just electives.
Yep.
That's pretty typical other schools.
Yep.
I think it's just so you can keep everybody in school because you're requiring them to be at school for something.
Yep.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. All right, we are done with action items. Moving on to discussion items. Graduation credit requirements.
Can we just approve that?
That was in the course guide, so.
Yeah. We need to formulate just the policy as well. So I put it down there in case there was any discussion on it, but we could probably.
Move past that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, construction project update. Patrick.
So we met with the C2AE and Crispin last Monday, and they finally were able to provide us a idea of what the scope of the project is going to look like in terms of sequencing.
Who's we?
Myself, Sarah, I think it was just us on that call, but there's like 10 of them on the call, but they have their entire teams there. So I say we, I think of everybody there.
If we had them, wanna know who
So
you-
Sarah and I were the people from the district.
The royal we.
So one of the things that we were very curious about is how is the timeline for the elementary school going to line up with this, because we were able to start the middle school and high school once we had the grant. So they were 4 months ahead. So like, were they ever going to be able to catch it up and kind of be on the same timeline? They're not a belief that that's a focus that they're going to be able to do if we want this school to be ready by the 27-28 school year. So the plan is to move forward with this as a singular project, where this will be their sole focus, and then move to the elementary school to add the classrooms and expand the kitchen there afterwards. And there might be able to be some overlap throughout this process, but this is really going to be the main focus is this building. And in this building, there's going to be, well, the main project will be the renovation or the addition that's being added. That's going to be starting this spring, then throughout the summer, and that's going to be an entire year doing that. That's not going to be something like I originally hoped that maybe they could build and we could move stuff in there. That's not going to be the case. That's going to take an entire year for that piece of it. And then as that's going on, there's going to be 3 phases of other projects going to be going on within the building. The first phase will be the northwest corner, the wrestling room, weight room, turning those into classrooms will be the first phase. The second phase will be converting the current main office to the teacher's room and the AD's office, and then moving them over, main office over here will be the third phase.
So we plan on keeping that as long as possible while everything here is done in elementary?
Correct. So within there, there's going to be a lot of shuffling around. Already trying to figure out where the weight room and wrestling room are going to go, as they're the first places that are going to be touched with some of the renovation. So we're trying to figure out, they proposed that they would have, what was it? It was the media center would shift to the lounge out here, the weight room would come in here, and the wrestling room would go on the stage in the gym. And I think my eyes must have like jumped out because they're like, Patrick does not seem to like that idea. So we were Sarah's in the call. She was like, well, we used to have wrestling on the stage, and I was like, well, we probably shouldn't go back to that. So we think maybe having wrestling in the what will become the middle school gym with perhaps the weight room against the wall as much as you can, and that would also allow the stage to stay open before we have the new stage open in the addition. So it's going to take a little bit of shuffling around. And at some point, like the interventionalists who are currently in this media center all day might have to go down to those new classrooms in the northwest corner as this space is getting renovated. So there's going to be some shuffling around within the school year as that's occurring. Additionally, this upcoming summer, one of the first things they're going to be doing is moving the water lines up above. They said if they're not able to complete that over the summer, that'll be a second shift job that they'll be doing every night, taking the tiles down, working on it, putting the tiles back up for school in the morning. So that's the general scope of the project right now, is to have this completed by the 27-28 school year, with the addition taking an entire year. There's 3 different phases, and the classroom facelifts as well the following summer. So we're in design meetings all day today, all day tomorrow, all day Wednesday, trying to formalize what exactly this space is going to look like more formally based off the initial blueprints they gave us, but like what is the teacher's room going to look like, what is the media center going to look like, and really adding our thoughts based on what the space is going to be used for, how is it best going to accommodate our needs, and no longer just be like general media center that's 500 square feet or whatever, but like how are we going to use that square footage. Those conversations are the things that we're having now. It's not the most convenient way of doing it during a school day, having 12 Zoom calls that you want teacher input on, but the principals and the secretaries have done a great job of managing staff to try and get as many people on those calls as we can. And some of the larger ones, like high school and middle school staff, we're trying to do after the school day so they can be a part of those as well.
Great.
So it'd be 27, 28 for this building, and then 28, 29 for the other one, and then that's when students would move.
So that'd be, depending on how the timeline goes, there's 2 different ways we could do it. We could keep that middle school open that extra year, or if we think we can fit 5th grade down the elementary school before those additional classrooms are added, that could be something we look at that point as well. Knowing like right now we have 4 sections of 4th grade. If we're down to 3 sections of everything, that would open up a classroom there. And so just trying to figure out if we'd have enough space to move 5th grade at that point. Otherwise, we have these rooms over here, the addition, without 6th, 7th, and 8th over here potentially. So it could be some like unused new space that we have. But I imagine that a lot depends on the timeline of how far the elementary school gets and if we think we can actually fit 5th grade in there when the time comes to make that decision. But that'd be the other option.
For the record, I kind of like the idea of weight room in here, but that's
Front and center, everyone can see it as they come through.
just cover the windows. It's kind of a nice place. Work out in here.
It gets hot in here, that's for sure.
That's good. Good point.
So this is, we just went through, it's a singular contract for this entire project, even though it is now being broken up kind of into 2 different.
It's just essentially different phases of how they're approaching it. Yeah. So elementary school essentially becoming like the final phase of the. That sounded very dramatic, but the last piece of it.
My concern, obviously, is cost. Like if we're pushing it out another year,
Right.
what costs are going to go up, and what does that look like?
Yep.
They budgeted for some of that.
Yeah, but you're right. But depending on how far they budgeted out, that could be.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, there's like 10% they have in the budget for those type of fees.
Any other questions for Patrick?
Do you get asked a lot about the status of that? And should we be thinking about, I don't want to make YouTube videos, but some location people can go that have questions that would not take too much time to create that would be helpful? I'm just asking that.
Yeah, I have no problem doing it. We've been asked about it quite a bit, and we didn't have any information until last Monday, so it's pretty new for us to even try to wrap our heads around what's this going to look like for us. But I think it'd be a well worth effort for us to put that out there for community so they could have an idea of, and also be, I think, beneficial to them to understand that our staff might be asked to teach in spaces they haven't been asked to teach in before. If we have teachers who have been in that corner who are being asked to move, and maybe provide a little more grace to our staff who are accommodating a construction project during the school year too.
I'm just asking you to think of a way to do that as efficiently as you can, but still effectively.
Right. Being proactive is always a good thing.
Like I said, I don't want you to spend 6 hours a day.
Neither do I.
Today we picked out the gray chairs over the green chairs. I don't need that information,
Yeah.
but people are going to ask, and instead of having to regurgitate the information, you can say, go here. If you have more questions, you can answer them.
Yeah.
Anything else regarding that? Okay, we'll move on to our information items. First up, new hire.
Yeah, Amanda Limbo, middle school paraprofessional. So she started last week? Or today? Okay. That's right.
I make a motion to let her come into work.
Not an action item, sorry.
Oh,
Agenda item type action.
it does on here. That's why I saw it.
Oh, no, it's just information.
Sorry,
And
so
that's okay.
I retract my motion.
Okay. The other information item is our board workshop that will discuss superintendent transition for Monday, September 29th at 6:30 p.m.
That'll be in person here.
I thought that was training for how to evaluate.
No,
That
evaluating
was-
will be like next spring. We discussed it.
Okay.
I said we
Who
should
was
probably go
interested?
through that training again since it will be 2 years.
That's what I thought we
Gotta
did.
start
I
somewhere.
just
Yeah.
didn't realize that we're doing a
That's okay.
transition meeting training too.
Yep.
Okay. Now
All
I
right.
know.
All right. Meal provided. I'll buy pizza for us all. Okay, we are at our second public comment area. This is a section of the meeting in which the public may make comments or share their opinions about Union City Community Schools. We ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes per person to allow others the opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to your concerns. It is not board practice to act on the concerns voiced during this meeting to allow for the board to do further research. Do we have any comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to board roundtable. Does anyone have anything for board roundtable tonight?
I would like to thank members of our buildings and grounds crew and Spencer's team, as well as Clint Gauchi and Jessica Decker and John Decker for their work on the cross-country course. I know it's still a work in progress, but I appreciate people's willingness to go above and beyond and work on that. Just wanted to publicly thank them. Did I miss anybody?
No, I don't think so. Hopefully we'll get the whole cross-country team over there to pull down some brush eventually, but.
Anything else? All right, at this time, the next thing that's going to be on our agenda is a closed session. The only thing after that, when we come back from closed session, is adjournment. You're welcome to stay for adjournment if you'd like. Otherwise, that's all we're going to do afterwards. So I would entertain a motion to go into closed session at this time.
So moved.